What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and I'm making this video because I just read the scariest article that I've read in a very long time. This article is about Bitcoin and the potential price manipulation that is going on with Tether. If you haven't heard of that, if you're not super into this stuff, this is still extremely important because, in my opinion, this has the potential to collapse Bitcoin, collapse all of the cryptocurrencies right now and lose a lot of people a lot of money. So if anyone you know is invested big in Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency, this could have a huge impact on their life savings. So I personally know a lot of people who don't have a ton of money who are invested into Bitcoin. And if it crashes a ton, it's gonna hurt them a lot, especially at a time during this, pandemic where people might not have as much to spare. So this is honestly really worrying. Hopefully this is all for nothing and this is just a false alarm, but based on the article, I think it's something that you guys really need to have on your radar. So I'm gonna walk through the article, I'll link it below as well so you can read the entire thing for yourself, but I'm gonna explain my thoughts about it as I go through and kind of give a summary in case you don't wanna take the time to read it because it's kind of long. But yeah, hopefully you guys find this video helpful. If you do, please smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications because I try to make these videos as helpful and as often as possible. So yeah, let's get into it. All right guys, so this is the article. It's called The Bit Short Inside Crypto's Doomsday Machine, and it's honestly a pretty scary title. If you think the title's bad, just wait till you hear what is inside this article. I'm gonna give you guys a summary of it, but basically, this guy bought some cryptocurrency, I think back when the pandemic was getting started because he figured that the government would have to print money to help get us out of the pandemic. And, if you haven't done your research, that is pretty much what happens. A lot of these stimulus packages, that money is created out of thin air, and it has an impact on inflation. There's no limit to the amount of money, really, that the US government can create. So when that happens, there's inflation. The price of goods and services tends to go up because there's more money available and the value of each dollar goes down. Well, because Bitcoin has a limited amount of supply, they're still making more of it, but there is a limited amount that will be able to be created, and eventually that supply will run out. It's not like they can keep printing Bitcoin forever. So there's a set number of Bitcoin that will ever exist, and because of that, it can be good in terms of offsetting inflation. And so that's why this person made the trade back when I guess the pandemic was getting started. And if you haven't looked at the graph for Bitcoin, it went from, I think, around $4,000 or $5,000 around that time and is up to $40,000-ish right now. I haven't checked it today, so I don't know exactly what it's doing today, but it's between, $30,000, $40,000, maybe a little bit above that. So up significantly, 1,000% at times. And obviously, this person made a lot of money on this trade, and they never planned on selling it because everyone who is big on Bitcoin is convinced that it's going to $100,000, $500,000 because there's a very limited supply, and they expect banks to store their money in there, etc. So there's not really the idea of a huge crash on anyone's radar, at least that I've heard of yet, which is why this article was so startling and so frightening to me. And basically, what is going on is, if I scroll down here, Tether is what is being used to buy Bitcoin. You can see the US dollar makes up, an okay percentage, but Tether is the vast majority of what is flowing into Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin is being used to buy a lot of other cryptocurrencies. So you can see this graph here. 10 billion in 24 hours came from Tether. And not just into Tether. Not just into Bitcoin. It flows into Ethereum, into Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, all these other cryptocurrencies. The vast majority, over 2/3 of the buying volume is coming from Tether. It's being purchased with Tethers. That is on all exchanges, every exchange for Bitcoin. If we go down to Coinbase, which is pretty much the most reputable one that is using everything possible to fight money laundering, to fight any bad stuff. It's probably the biggest US exchange that you've heard of. Here's how the crypto trades flow through Coinbase Pro in a 24-hour period. You can see it's mostly US dollars. Do you see Tether anywhere on here? No. And there's a reason for that. It's because Tether is not even on Coinbase. Tether's not allowed in Coinbase. But you can see on all the largest crypto exchanges in the world, by nominal volume, Tether is by far the largest currency that is being used to purchase. So even though Coinbase, which is the most reputable one here in the US dollar is what's being used, overall in the entire market, Tether is what's being used primarily. Practically all the crypto sold on these three exchanges was being bought with Tethers. None at all was being bought with US dollars. Coinbase Pro, again, that's the good one in the US, is responsible for around $4 billion in crypto trades each day, but Binance alone accounts for over $50 billion worth of crypto volume each day, and each of the other two exchanges is bigger than Coinbase. So most of the crypto that gets bought each day is getting traded for Tethers on these three exchanges. So again, if you don't know what a Tether is, this is where it starts to get really worrying. Tether claims that they back each of their Tether, one Tether, with $1 US. So for every Tether that they issue, it means they have $1 US equivalent, or some other IOU or something like that, that is equal to $1. So they're not supposed to just be able to create Tethers out of thin air. And there is currently a lawsuit. They delayed the lawsuit for 15 months, trying to say, no, we don't need to respond to this. But on July 9th, 2020, they denied their appeal, saying they have to submit the documents. And if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, January 15th, was when these documents, the final date that they had to be submitted by. And I don't think we're going to get, any type of response soon, because I think there's like 70,000 documents that have to be gone through. But this could be looming on the horizon. And he has this other graph here that shows what is going on with Tether and, what happened right when this lawsuit was, officially denied. Like they said they have to provide the documentation. If you look here, this arrow right here is when they announced their investigation. As it progresses, every single issuance of Tethers, that is Tethers that are being created, rises typically in blocks. And then right here is when they announced that they had to provide the documentation. And soon thereafter, you can see the trend changes and it starts to absolutely skyrocket the amount of Tethers that are being issued. Now, if you go and see if there's a correlation between issuance of Tethers and the price of Bitcoin, you notice a trend here? That's pretty scary, man. And based off of just this is not enough evidence to say, oh, Tethers caused the price of Bitcoin to increase, because, it could be the other way around. It could be Bitcoin caused the issuance of Tethers to increase, right? So we need to do a little bit more digging. At this point, he goes and talks to one of his friends, and he talks about, cryptos in general. Do you have any cryptos? I'm concerned some might be fraudulent. His friend Bob says, I own a bunch of crypto on this exchange called BuyBit. Is that one of the risky ones? I'm not sure. Does it let you trade in US dollars? No, but a lot of other exchanges don't either. In fact, you can't even deposit US dollars directly into a BuyBit account. Really? But then how do you get your money onto their exchange at all if they don't accept US deposits? You send your US dollars to Coinbase and buy Bitcoin with it. Then you move your Bitcoin onto BuyBit and trade with it there. Hang on, if that's the case, why would anyone ever use an unbanked offshore exchange that trades purely in crypto? What do they offer that Coinbase doesn't? Leverage. I personally only use 2 to 3 times leverage, but they let you leverage your positions up to 100 times if you want. You can't do that on Coinbase. If you guys don't know what leverage is, it's terrifying. This is how economies collapse. And again, maybe I'm just being Chicken Little here. Maybe the sky is not actually falling, but this is scary to me. Because when you have 2x leverage, I just want to explain what that means to you guys. If you have 2x leverage, that means you can buy $200 worth of something with only $100. Which means that if the price doubles, it goes up 100%. You just made 200% on your effective $100 investment, because you take the profits from all that. But what that also means is that if you're using leverage and the price goes down, you have the potential to lose more than you invested. Normally, if you buy a stock with your own money, say I spent $100 on a stock, one share costs $100, and that share goes to $0, I don't care. I lost all my money, okay. But I mean, I didn't lose anything I didn't put in. Now, if I buy 2 shares that cost $100, I put in $100 of my own, and I have $100 of leverage, 2x margin, and then it goes to $0, I just lost $200 after putting $100 in. I'm negative $100 after I already lost my $100 that I put in. I have to deposit more money. And that's with 2x leverage. Can you imagine 100x leverage? I mean, this is crazy, man. Here's the thing. They also do promotions where there's time missions. You earn tethers for inviting friends, joining their Telegram group, trading on their platform. So they're giving out these tethers like no one's business. They're handing out these tethers like it's candy on Halloween. Yet they're supposedly pegged at a 1-to-1 ratio to the US dollar. Really? Here's the thing. He has to use a VPN to access these other exchanges because you literally cannot even use it if you're in America. He has to use a Bolivian VPN. Is that not sketchy or what? And then he talks about this scene from The Big Short. If you have not seen that movie, go see it. It talks about what happened in the 2008 financial crisis when the housing market crashed. A lot of that was because there's people using leverage that shouldn't. There's strippers who have mortgages on 5 properties because they don't think the price is ever going to go down. So they think it doesn't matter if I can't pay this because I can just sell it for a higher price and, pay off my mortgage if I need to. There's people who think that about Bitcoin, who might have 50x leverage because they're allowed to on these other systems. What happens if the price drops by 50% and they have 50x leverage? If I'm not mistaken, that's like a 2,000% loss or more. You invest $100 and you lose $2,000. Can you imagine that? There's people who that would be crippling for. Absolutely crippling. And some of these promotions, like they're giving away $500 worth of USDT, which is Tether. Coinbase doesn't have any of this stuff. Which implies that these offshore exchanges are way more willing to give away tethers than Coinbase is to give away dollars, which if they're pegged at 1-to-1 should not be the case. He also talks about this. To me, this isn't as weird. So, I mean, you're welcome to read into this part. Maybe I just didn't understand it perfectly, but this is just another part of this post. And then here's where it gets really terrifying. He says, the last nail in the coffin was when I found out about the lack of visible reserves. If this tether company was really taking in $1 for every tether that it issued, then it should have as many dollars in its bank account as there are issued tethers, right? And we can check if that's true because Tether's bank is in the Bahamas, and the Bahamas disclose how much foreign currency its domestic banks hold each month. So you can look in here. If I zoom in, you can see in this time period what was the increase in foreign funds that were held in this area. And you can see here, from January to September, the amount of all foreign currencies held by all the domestic banks in the Bahamas increases only by $600 million, going from 4.7 to $5.3 billion. But during the same period, the total issued tethers increased by almost $5.4 billion. Do you guys understand what that means? It means that these are being created out of thin air. There are not enough dollars in all the domestic banks in the Bahamas to back the tethers that are floating around in the crypto market. And these are the same tethers that are being used to drive up the price of Bitcoin from $20,000 to $40,000. And there's people who are leveraged on this. So this was crypto's big short. Tether was short of US dollars to the tune of $25 billion. And what is their purpose in this? Well, here's the thing. Supposedly, they get real cryptocurrency through this process. So Bob puts $100 into Coinbase, buys Bitcoin on Coinbase, transfers Bitcoin to a different exchange, trades crypto on BuyBit, the other exchange, and receives the promotional giveaways. And then Tether buys his Bitcoins from him on the exchange. He gets paid in Tethers, and then they take the Bitcoins, move them to a bank like Coinbase, and then they cash those out in US dollars. So really, the reason that these offshore exchanges don't support US dollars is a feature, not a bug. They do this on purpose because it prevents the US dollar and the Tether from meeting on a transparent market. Because that way, it's still unclear and people can still believe that Tethers are pegged to US dollars at a 1-to-1 rate. Pretty much the only one he talked about, the only exchange where you can actually do that is on Kraken. So on Kraken, where there's only $16 million worth of daily volume, you can actually trade Tether and US dollars. And he believes that Tether just takes losses on this because if they let that slip away, then this whole sham falls down and everyone realizes what is going on here. So what happens is they issue these Tethers, they create them out of thin air, they're not pegging them at a 1-to-1 ratio like they say they are, and then people are using those Tethers to buy Bitcoin and drive the price of Bitcoin up. This could be absolutely massive when this stuff comes out. And again, I believe the final date to submit the documents was on January 15th. It's now the 16th, so I don't know how long it's going to take, but this could be in the next few months. I have no idea, but it's just something that I want you guys to have on your radar. Again, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but this is just something that was really, I guess, really alarming to me because I feel like this has the potential to end up like 2008, where there's so many people who are leveraging something that they think is just going to continue to go up forever no matter what. And it comes crashing down because of so much leverage, and a lot of people lose a lot of savings. So if you know anyone who has a ton of money in crypto, send this to them and so they can, hear my thoughts about it and read the article down below because, again, it's really alarming. And I don't like the way that this looks. And again, I hope I'm being a chicken little here. I hope the sky is not actually falling. That would make me honestly very happy because I would prefer that this doesn't come crashing down. But based on the numbers and the research that this guy has done, it's a little bit scary. So, and again, everyone is positive this is going to 100K and they're not willing to sell it off. So these are the same type of people who thought the housing market was never going to crash. There's a lot of hysteria. And again, I believe in the potential of cryptocurrency, that it has to change our financial markets and the way that we operate and exchange. I really think that it has big potential. But with this on the horizon, man, this could be a scary drop, at least for short term. And if you're very leveraged and not prepared for it, it could be extremely bad. Anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, please smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you made it to the end of this video, this is a long video. This is a 20-minute video. You are in the 3%. I love all of you. Oh, sorry. I thought we had a moment there. All right. See you guys in the next one. Until then, let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que tú por mí sientes.